Your grocery bill could be up to $800 higher next year. That's according to the latest food price report. Out this morning, it outlines how much prices at the grocery store could increase and which items are going to see the most increase. This comes as food banks are already seeing record numbers of Canadians who rely on them to feed themselves and their families. Joining us with a breakdown of this report is Sylvain Charlebois. He's a professor of food distribution at Dalhousie University, and he is the report's project lead. Great to have you with us.
Nice to see you, Anne-Marie.
All right, I wish we had better news for Canadians, but I guess we'd rather know than not. Where are we expecting to see the biggest and the smallest increases in the coming year?
Yeah, so if you look at the grocery store, I think the meat counter is going to be the biggest problem. If you look at the meat trifecta, beef has been an issue, will continue to be an issue. You see, Anne-Marie, our herd size in Canada when it comes to cattle is at the same level as 1987. There's just no supply.
Yeah.
And we have 15 million more Canadians compared to 1987. It's the same in the U.S., so inventories are extremely low, so we're expecting beef prices to continue to rise. Pork, same situation as well. Chicken is likely going to be impacted by the avian flu. We've been hearing more about the avian flu of late, so that's going to be pushing prices higher. The other issue, of course, are vegetables. We are expecting a weaker Canadian dollar versus the American dollar due to lower interest rates, and that's probably going to impact our importers' buying power over the next year or so.
So vegetables getting more expensive, and I like what you called the trifecta of meats when you're looking at beef, pork, and chicken. Can we focus on beef for just a second? You mentioned that we're at the lowest stock since 1987, so like in almost 40 years. What's happening in the livestock industry?
So climate change basically forced feed costs to go up because of droughts, and about 18 months ago, cattle producers just sold off their herd because if it costs more to feed animals, they just don't want to pay that extra cost. So that's what happened. And then, of course, prices start to go up. And now we're seeing many producers saying, you know what, maybe it's time to leave the industry because prices are good and they're not coming back.
You know, everybody feels this pain at the grocery store. And there's been, you know, we want a villain in this story. There's been a lot of frustration aimed towards the major grocery store chains in response to these increased prices. But how much of that responsibility actually falls on them versus factors within the food supply system?
It's funny you ask because right now I'm in Berlin, Germany, and I was actually giving a talk yesterday to people in the industry, and it's the same thing here. I mean, everyone's blaming Aldi and Lidl for higher food prices. So it's really a Western world problem. It's not just a Canadian problem. Everyone has been impacted by what happened in Ukraine, with COVID, of course, with supply chains. But now inflation is on the rise everywhere in the world, including right here in Germany.
But how much of this responsibility is on the grocery chains to make sure prices are within the realm of affordability? And how much responsibility is just part of factors, like you said, either climate change and high costs for producers?
The important thing for us to do is to monitor gross margins, because gross margins will tell you whether or not there's gouging going on. It's revenues minus the cost of goods. If that remains stable, I would say there's no gouging going on. And it's been stable over the last 5-6 years. And food inflation is actually above same-store food sales for major grocers. They're making money selling other things than food. That's the key here that we need to remember.
Some of Canada's most extreme food prices, we know this already, are found in the North. The Nutrition North Canada program, that was introduced back in 2011. It's trying to offset some of those outrageous costs. But your report notes that it has not been very effective. So what needs to happen to rein in prices so people aren't paying $30 for a bag of bread?
I'm glad you've pointed that out, because every year we try to find one topic that really is important for us as a group. And the Forgotten North is really one thing we need to talk about more. There are a lot of people up there paying an outrageous amount of money to feed themselves. And so we need to think about food sovereignty. We have the technology to produce more food in any environment. And so more investments is likely desirable in those regions so people can actually have plenty of supplies of nutritious food all year round.
You know, I'm tying this story to another one that we've done a lot on this show, and that is food bank usage. It is at an all-time high in Canada. And your report also warns the annual food cost for a family is going to rise by $800. $800. What does that mean for families who are already on the brink? And where do we think the support needs to come? Does it need to come at the food bank end to bolster their supplies? Or does it need to come somewhere else so we can alleviate some of this pain?
So first of all, if you can, please support your food bank. They need the help. Cash is actually helpful for them. But the bottom line is really for people out there struggling, showing up at the grocery store with less money, think about loyalty programs. Think about reducing waste. There are a lot of different things you can do to offset the impact of food inflation all year round. What we're noticing are many Canadians not taking advantage of loyalty programs. Grocers are losing traffic due to other players like Dollarama and Giant Tiger. They're actually creeping up. And so they're fighting for your loyalty. Take advantage of it as much as possible.
When you say that, Sylvain, I know it's in your report, but not everybody's going to have a chance to read it. What does that mean, take advantage of their loyalty programs?
Because if you actually pay attention to some of the new programs out there, you'll notice that they're a lot more generous than just 12 months ago. They've changed, and they're becoming easier to understand as well. Some of them are pretty confusing, but they're not as confusing as they used to.
Okay.
So don't leave money on the table. Take advantage of them.
Yeah, and to your last point, Sylvain, when you talk about how food banks need money, it's great if you're buying at the grocery store and you get some extra, but it is so easy to go online and to donate, and they use the cash.
Absolutely.
They know how best to do it, and they can buy in bulk, so they can get even more supplies. I'm glad you brought that up.
Exactly. Absolutely.
Sylvain Charlebois, have a safe trip home from Germany. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Take care. Bye-bye.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.